Yeah, another day. Another day. Let's get it. Let's get it. What's up? Good evening. Good evening. Hope everybody's doing all right. We're gonna do some discussions, talk about some markets. I posted on some stuff earlier today. I'm kind of hopping right in here without much thought at the moment. But I think there's a lot kind of to discuss as far as price action, markets, all the good stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna try. Um, I'm gonna try to make this a more consistent thing for everybody. But basically, we're going to be looking to regularly discuss these things and see what we can kind of see what's going on because markets acting a little shaky still acting a little shaky. I get it. So yeah, we're gonna run through it. We're gonna run through it. I'll start off with Bitcoin. We'll lead into. I even know I have Solana right there. We'll lead into Solana next, right? We'll go Bitcoin, Solana, ETH. Then we're going to talk about the Nasdaq, right? I think that's an important part of the conversation. And then, oops, revealed a little bit too much. But But after that, then we'll lead into the reverse repo market and kind of discuss what that means, how it works, all that good stuff. Because I think all of that is in a sense important, and I think that if we're viewing the market and we're trying to figure out what's going on and how we're going to basically um, look at this and how we're going to do it and all that good stuff, how we're going to move within the market, we got to look and see what we have going on. Now I know a lot of you probably see this and you're like, what? And I was just basically entertaining some of the bigger accounts that are basically discussing, this big free fall. And I'm like, where are they getting this free fall number from? So I saw some of them were posting like 70-ish Ks into 70-ish Ks. Some of them were posting the 80-ish Ks. For me, I look at it like this. I think it's like that perfect retest, that everybody wants. And usually once we get going in these bull markets, you don't usually get that perfect retest. That's kind of the problem with this. Ultimately, you got to pick and choose. Is that perfect retest something you're looking for? Or are you looking to dial into the market as we kind of get these drawdowns? A lot of altcoins are pretty much like 90, I'd say between like 80, 90% drawdown. I think a lot of people are like, well, it can go down lower. And it's like, well, like you're 80, 90% down. I mean, this is the same discussion I was having at the bottom of the market with people when people are like, well, if Bitcoin goes down to 10K, then, those altcoins can go down more, like another 100%. And it's like you're already beating 99% of people that bought that coin at current price ranges. Either you think it's cooked or you're being too greedy, right? But we'll get into all of that after we talk about the rest of the stuff. But I did want to kind of get into, Bitcoin, my thoughts, what I'm seeing other people thinking on the timeline, and what I think is going to happen versus what other people think is going to happen. One or the other will play out. It reminds me very much of like something like right here, right? Everybody looking for this. Like it's just so weird because like everybody looks for like they look at these patterns and I don't even think they realize they're looking at patterns, right? They look at these areas of where liquidity acted a certain way, and then they think that they can take this area and do it again, right? And they think that, oh, well, if we get up to here, we're going to retest here, right? Where's the retest of liquidity here? Just show me where the retest of liquidity is here. There wasn't one. We shifted away from this range, right? We basically moved up, doubled up our range over here, right? And then broke out. Now, we did get a retest over here, right? Basically peak to retest. And, again, you could pull that all the way over here and you're getting another, retest of this liquidity. So you get the resistance here. That's what caused the waterfall, the hesitation to get through that resistance, the pullback, the breakout, the retest of liquidity. All liquidity has been grabbed, the shift away, right? That's basically what happened here. This is where everybody was saying what? They were saying 30-ish K. Why were they saying that? They were saying that we were going to basically go into, and this is something I always warn people against this. I'm like, going into previous liquidity is not good. they were saying that we were going to go into this liquidity and then come out, right? That's where the 30K ish number came from. Some of them probably even thinking that you would come back down and retest like levels right in here. That you basically filled all the ass here, right? Like all of your asks in this range were filled. There's no more ass there. Asks are already extremely higher now that all of this has been picked up. And now we got people talking about 70K, 60. I mean, again, it's kind of irrelevant. I don't really want to harp on that stuff tonight. I just want to kind of talk about it. So this was the liquidity grab over here. Basically, price came down, tapped the high here, and then shifted away, right? And now we're kind of hanging out up here, and we're trying to figure out what we're going to do here. It does look a little bit like it's broadening, right? But we don't really know because we don't have enough time up here at the moment. So we got to kind of let this play out. The people I've talked to, people that have asked me kind of my thoughts. What I've been doing is I've been kind of adding in this range. I don't really care if Bitcoin were to collapse and go to 70K, or if it were to collapse and come down here to like 85 or whatever, right? That's irrelevant to me. My thought process is like, what should I do in this range? Is the market cooked, or is the market going higher? And I think people should look at it from that perspective, because like if you look at this drawdown to the breakout, it's really just minute, right? You get to 150K, 200K Bitcoin. This shit never mattered, right? Unless you're leverage trading, then it matters. That really matters. So I think like if you're not in the process of actively leverage trading right now and you're just spot and chill, like the downside on the smart, like, I think like fog is like almost demolished, right? There's a lot of these coins that are completely demoed. If you see a meme coin right now, I will say this: if you see a meme coin shoot off really hard, it's going to likely sell off for now, and we'll talk about why. But yeah, I wouldn't buy into green candle pumps. I would buy in a downside kind of leveling out, right? That base out discussion that we typically have. All right, so that's my thoughts with Bitcoin. I don't think we get a perfect retest. Could it happen? Possibly, right? At the end of the day, but I think from a reasonable perspective, I would just stick to this downtrend as kind of like your go by, right? So if we were to get a drop here, 87K would be your drop in if you're going to drop into that range. Otherwise, I would just, my thoughts would be just, I don't think that this thing folds and comes all the way down here. I know there are a lot of people in that camp. Let's get into Solana then ETH, and Solana is a little bit different. All right, sorry about that. I was just checking make sure it wasn't using my camera as sound. So Solana, best I could do is a new water heater. No, I'm just playing. But look. Solana looks fine. I'm not gonna lie. I really like the volume on Solana doesn't really matter as much to me as like just the price action, right? You have this nice cup. You're kind of forming this handle now, and you could play that handle out for a while, right? You could play this handle out for a while. So this one's pretty interesting. I do think the low, if you're going to get there, is somewhere around like 160, right? If you're going to get there, somewhere around 160, and then break out. Now, should you avoid buying at 200? Not if your thought is that you can hit 500 to 700, right? If your thought is you can get to 5 to 700, or you're even better if you're buying beta, which I know a lot of people don't like talking about it right now because they're down so bad. Which is usually when I like to buy. I like to buy when everybody's down bad and crying that they don't want to talk about beta. But if you're down on beta and you're ready and you are okay with buying beta, I think that Solana, in these ranges, anywhere is in here is a good buy. The drawdown is very minute. I think you lose like what, 20%. Yeah, I mean it's a 20% swing. If you're trying to bottom take a 20% swing, I don't even know what to tell you, to be honest with you. I would just I would anticipate this holds. I don't think that this snaps. I think the momentum here is really strong. Um, if it does snap, I mean your next line in the sand of where you'd be going is to the gulags, which is basically the low here. That bring you all the way into 117 again. It's not gonna feel good if it does that, right? That's a 50% drawdown basically from where we are. Almost, not quite, but almost. So yeah, this will be a rough one if it does come down to this range. And I think that this would hold this range, specifically because you have consolidation. So you should use that as support, just like what we talked about here with Bitcoin, um, where you basically had consolidation, right? Consolidation, and you swung back and used that as support, right? For your breakout. And if they really want to take it there, they'll push it down here. But again, I would just stick to the megaphone pattern that we have currently. Again, need more time. I'll just tell you that. Need more time to try and say, okay, it's definitively going this way or that way. Just like it took a lot of time here. Are we having a rough time here? 100%. 100% we're having a rough time here. So but again, I think that will be kind of more discussed when we talk about the repo market, right? I'll explain that a little bit when we get into that part of the discussion. Ethereum, right? So this is something we discussed yesterday on the live. I talked to you all about this. I was like, this is my thoughts on Ethereum. Ideally, I'd like to kind of remain relatively. I think Ethereum had the worst crash at all of this, to be honest with you. Very surprising, by the way, because like that Cheeto in the door held so long. I loved it. But yeah, so definitely something to kind of watch for, but good chance that we'll probably see Ethereum bleed into like the $2,500 range. I'd like to see it hold the $2,500 range. I don't want to see bleed back down to the low. I think like when you fill a wick completely, it actually shows weakness and not strength, right? It's not a good look. So ideally they do a 50% fill and a bounce. That would be my ideal scenario here. That's option number one, orange line right here. You can see I'm coming into that range and back out. That's basically support for here. I mean, we could probably even take it all the way to the left over here and find more support / resistance right in here, right in here. So it's going to be a tricky one. I know there are a lot of people thinking we're going to get some kind of deviation into the $1,700 range. I think that's just a wild take. I think that's such a wild take. I mean, the people that are saying it, I definitely respect those people, and I think that they have really good takes. I just don't think you come down and hit this mid range and come back from that, right? I think ultimately, if you start shifting in that direction, from a market standpoint, I think you start creating, heavy resistance, because if you get back into this consolidation range, your what was support is now ideally going to be resistance if you get back up there. As you can see right here, where I show the bounce kind of back up and roll over. So I don't think 1,700 for me as a trader is a good range to be looking at and saying that that's where I think price will go. Because just like with Bitcoin, when we had the discussion about that a while back, when I was on the morning shows, basically we talked about it here, and I was like, okay, if they break this range, if they broke, and they broke it right here, right, and I was like, if they break this range right here on around 5,600, I was like, the shit's gonna roll deep. And we ended up breaking the range right here, bounced up really hard, rejected right where I was thinking, and then rolled deep. And then I was like, all right, time to bid, right around, I think 48, 50. No, it wasn't 48, it was like 52. I think it was 52 is when I told the BB boys, like, it's time. It is time to bid. And yeah, from there, it was just a straight up trend, right? Straight up trend and then breakout. And now ideally we're kind of in this range now, and we kind of rolled, and we're looking a little weak here, but ideally if Bitcoin can do this though, you already know what's going to happen. That's going to be a nonstop train, right? That shit's going to go straight up. But for now, we can't view this as strength, because when you come into a range like this, and we'll get closer here. Right now, I'm just kind of giving you that zoomed out perspective. When you come into a range and start to hesitate, you should ideally look at it as, okay, this never has to stop. And this could also reverse to tap previous liquidity, right? That's how a range works. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to range breakout, right? A range breakout is more ideal like when you're at the lower liquidity levels. It's more like in here, right? Where we were down here. A lot of people weren't really paying attention. They didn't see the double, the double resistance until that became double support right in this range here, 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 and here. And so they didn't see the reversal potential here kind of happening, right? This was your prime range to buy Bitcoin and a lot of assets. And then you had the reversal, and then you had the sideways play, and you still had high vol, right? You still had high vol before you had a breakout. And ideally, I would say you also had a high vol here. And this is where I told people, hey, this is a hammer. This right here, you need to be bullish. And people sit there and said 30K Bitcoin. And I was like, no. I was like, this is going to reverse back up. And then, we started getting a trend right here, playing right along there, right? That was your uptrend that, again, people just kept saying no, right? Kept saying no, this wasn't going to play. And it's like, bro, you created a hammer and now you're just continuing to do higher, low, higher, higher structure. Like you could ignore all this, right? You could basically ignore all this because once you started creating this higher high, right? Higher low structure, you were bound to break out. And you did. You broke out in a big way. You pulled all the way up here. Now you're kind of trading sideways. A lot of people think there's going to be this deviation, right? This big move down before I move up. Possibly. We'll see, right? That's the tough part for a lot of people. All right, let's get into, we already discussed Ethereum. We already talked about Bitcoin. We already talked about Solana. Let's talk about NASDAQ. So I threw it up here for you guys to make it a little easier. But this is basically what NASDAQ, is in basically what the NASDAQ is covering, right? It covers the technology sector. So when I look at this and I'm like, all right, technology, what is technology? Technology is electronics, software, computers, AI, right? And crypto, right? That's artificial, right? It's on the web. These are things that I think all play a factor in technology. And I think that if people look at it from that perspective and they're like, okay, NASDAQ looks actually pretty bullish, actually really bullish. And you're like, okay, this looks bullish. Should I be bearish on everything else? I would say no. Right. I would say no. The other thing too, and we're going to kind of get into that, and that's the reverse repo market. I think that's a big discussion too. So this is something I posted. Hey JJ, I posted for everybody to kind of, pay attention to, look at what is the reverse repo market? What does the reverse repo market do? How is it perceived? Yada, yada, yada. This is a big deal. I think that a lot of people are not giving this as much, as much credit as what it's worth, because this is not just like some small, like, oh, we're going to rate cut or we're going to rate hike or no. This is much deeper than that. The reverse repo market is a great indicator of basically, bottomed out markets that are about to get heavily stimulated or overheated, right? Because if we look here at 2021, you're basically at like roughly about 11.2, right, billion. And if you look at the reverse repo going into it, you get into 400, 500, trillions. So this cool off is going to occur, right? 2022. And then going into 2023, we were still kind of, pretty heavily stimulated. And then 2024, this is why we didn't have like too much price action movement in 2024, really. And now we're kind of like bottoming out here. We're hitting 78 billion in the reverse repo. So basically what this means is like think of it like buybacks start to occur when the reverse repo market is down here. Why does that happen? Because banks are broke. Banks are literally broke. They have no funds. They're not giving loans because they don't have funds to use as collateral for loans. And now there's basically an issue here in the market where the market's having a tough time dealing with this, right? So with the reverse repo being this low, I would say ideally this is something that you have to really kind of gauge and be like, all right, this is a good scenario where I should look at the market and be like, all right, we're likely going to get stimulation. That's likely what's going to happen here. Does it have to be QE in the form of paychecks to people? No, it can be QE like what they did before, backdoor QE for banks to kind of get insinuate / incentivize spending. That's really what they need to do here, because right now with the way the reverse repo market is set up, I would say spending's way down, way down. If the reverse repo market's here, and the deposits are very small, likely with the reverse repo market being this low. That's another scenario that we have to look at. So liquidity is dry. It is dry. Banks are completely dried up. People are not making deposits. That's what this basically more or less indicates. So it's basically the RRP, right? The repurchase market. Reverse repurchase agreement is a short-term agreement to sell securities in order to buy them back at a slightly higher price. And repurchase agreements, RPs or repos or reverse repos, are used for short-term lending and borrowing, right? That's basically what I was discussing. The borrowing and lending is way down. Often overnight, the banks looking to fulfill their reserve requirements, which they're having a hard time meeting right now because of the way that the reverse repo market is. Central banks use repos and reverse repos to add and remove from the money supply via open market operations. Likely, we're going to see add, right? We're going to see stimulation of, due to the way that the reverse repo is sitting right now. And I can tell you, if you look at it again from where we were, right here, let me pull that back up real quick. From where we were and where we are now, that is a massive scenario where you have to be like, okay, what should I be doing here? This is 2021. This is right now. We're almost at the same place. And if you look, I know this looks small here, right? But this was another reverse repo scenario. 2016 going into 2018, right? That was another one. And that's basically where you had this high fluctuation market, and then you had death, right? Well, not really death, but you had this sideways play, and then you had 2021, which was the big boom. And ideally, what I'm thinking is that the way the reverse repo market is set up, we're sitting so low, we'll likely see some kind of spike in stimulation in the reverse repo market. The Fed, essentially, the Fed's going to have to do something here. And I don't think rate cuts, honestly, are enough. They've been doing rate cuts since last year. I think they're going to either have to add some more stuff to the books, or they're going to have to find a way to get investors, to get people to want to invest, get people to want to buy, to get people to want to spend money. And honestly, I think we're close to like this really weird spot where it's likely that we're moving into like an era of stagflation. And I think that that's always an interesting talk too. But stagflation is just basically where you get a generation of people that are like, okay, we're used to inflation. We're just going to spend through inflation, but we're only going to buy necessities, right? We're no longer going to purchase anything extravagant. We're not going to buy cars if we don't need to. We're not going to buy houses if we don't need to. A more responsible spending habit. But the responsible spending habit really dries up the liquidity that's flowing through the economy. And so I don't know. I don't know. I look at it like this too. It's also, it's on Trump too. He's going to have to be the one to really kind of push this, try and put his boot on the neck on the Fed a little bit. But I don't think he can personally affect the Fed directly. but I'm sure he'll put pressure on him. I'm sure he'll put pressure on him, trying to get him to kind of fix this. I don't think enough people are looking at this right now, and I think this is a very important piece of the puzzle when it comes to markets overall. Getting back into a few other things. Um, you have Tesla, right? So this is another one here that's kind of pulling back a bit. And really this was expected for me. I was expecting the fractal here, basically this long sideways into this uptrend. That's what I have here. And you can see Tesla already sat sideways for like basically 3 years. Like it's wild to me that this thing has but I do think, like, looking at all the things that Tesla is doing and the company itself, I think that it's going to be a fairly profitable company. And we are going to see the big boom. Like this Tesla to me is almost like buying Apple like midway through, right? A lot of people don't think Apple can go, any much higher once it hits $1 trillion, and then, all of a sudden it's 3 trillion. And I think Tesla's at that era, right? Where even though it doesn't look like it can go much higher, it has a lot of potential still, especially with like, you got the AI robots, you got Starlink, you got their little NASA center essentially. they have a lot going on for them. Neuralink, that's another one too. So yeah, I think like when you look at it from that perspective, I think it's a very interesting investment for a lot of people, and I think this is a company that's a good like long-term port hold if you haven't got it in your port. ICP, we don't have to really go into that much. So Cloudflare, this is another one too that I was talking about a while back. A lot of AI algorithms and everything like that are being hosted on Cloudflare. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but this stock right here, since I talked about it here, it's already started moving into the range that I was thinking. And I took it from the drop here, right? So I took the drop and I set it on top of the breakout. And it looks like you took some longs on this one. Nice. We gotta have a little up. Nice. Yeah, and I took it and I was like, okay, Cloudflare can likely be at 367 by end of year, like very likely. Looks like a solid play. A lot of you may be like, well, that's not enough X's. You guys are in here scalping for 35% on meme coins. Like this is plenty of X's if that's what you're doing. All right. Coinbase is kind of in an interesting spot. It looks like it wants to pull back, to be honest with you. Likely, somewhere's into here. Again, this is another trend, just like what Ethereum had. Cheeto in the door. Dude, if Coinbase stock collapses below this trend, I swear Coinbase stock and Ethereum are pegged. They're freaking pegged at that point. In my head, right? In my head. No on some crypto. I'm too poor for stock markets. Nah, you're fine, Emilio. You're fine. That's Sui Pad not doing too well. But Sui's another one of those too. And it's in an interesting spot. So I have obviously the range there. I think this is an interesting one too. If they really want to take it and bleed it into that range, they will. But again, I don't want to get into the discussion of going below previous consolidation ranges, right? I want to see Sui stay up there, just above that. Even if Sui falls down into this range, I'm okay with it as long as it holds this range. That's the range I want to see it hold. No, I don't think it's near. I don't think the inner market's near at the moment. I'm still kind of eyeballing the market overall. I think the market is so every market after like a lot of expansion will have like these midlife crises. Get it? Mid-market crises. And they'll pretty much puke midway through, right? I think we're kind of in that portion of the market where it's like, okay, this is your midlife crisis in crypto right now, and some stocks do. And this pullback really doesn't mean a lot, but this is the correction that that will kind of wash out the people that aren't really interested in really investing. They're just here gambling. and then it's full reset and then full go again, right? All gas, no brakes. You have to hit this last wave, man. Like this is the all gas, no brakes wave, and like I'm here for it. I am here for it. I've been running Compass since down here. Like this thing has been absolutely phenomenal. Aptos, I think, is a great buy right now. I know some of you are like, "Oh, my meme coins." We'll talk about some memes too. But Aptos is a great buy right now. This is an interesting one. You got sideways price action, and this is really kind of an interesting spot for markets overall, right? So if you look at it, it's just tap, tap, tap. There's somebody's buying this thing anytime you come into this range. So it's really interesting watching this. Is Jasmine doing okay too? I haven't looked at Jasmine in a while, man. I just stuck it on a ledger and forgot it. Yeah, I think Q1 2026 is a safe bet, to be honest with you. I think it's a really safe bet, looking at the market overall, to say we might be cooked around there. I do think that the reverse repo will have repercussions in the future. I think that they're going to stimulate. I really do, based on what's going on. So if you look here too, Dot's another one too that's pretty interesting. I know some of you are like, who the fuck's buying Dot? No, we're buying Dot, guys. I'm just looking at from a chart perspective, right? Doesn't matter about your opinion of Dot or whether anybody's operating on Dot. Matters about where the liquidity range is on Dot, right? And that's a pretty safe liquidity range. CHEX, yeah, I'll pull it up. Give me just a sec. Oh, this one was interesting too. See this top right here? The ETH Bitcoin chart dipped right into it, man. Wild. I wonder if they try to fill that somewhat, but I don't want to see them come into this range and hold this, right? That's gulag type work. I think a lot of people are thinking like a double bottom. If it were BTC ETH, right, then they would say a double top. But I think a lot of people are looking at double bottom here. I've always been in the camp that BTC ETH will be ever crunching, right? So you get here. Let me delete all this real quick. So what I mean by that is you get this low, right? Then you get this low, and then you get this low, and then this should stay ideally here. We shouldn't see ETH BTC should continue to push against Bitcoin. Does that make sense? So higher low structure is what I want to see. I do not want to see ETH do this shit. Like this is not something I want to see. I don't want to see it retest that. And I think like if you hit 1700, you are retesting that, right? Bitcoin will obliterate ETH. I want to see it continue this higher low structure on ETH BTC. And the only way to do that is to maintain this level. You have to maintain this level. No option there. I feel like if you're coming into this ranges, you're basically saying, as Ethereum, you're saying that you're going to move the same pace as ETH, which would be absolutely abysmal. Not interested. But I did see an interesting article today. And I want to bring, I think it was Borowski that brought it up, Borowski on Twitter. I don't want to take credit for other people's, thoughts, but I thought it was a pretty smart comment overall. And basically he said that BlackRock wants to put the stock market on the internet, right? They want to put the stock market and digitize it, and they want to digitize all assets. And one thing he said, with the way that people like Trump and many others are accumulating ETH, they may know something, right? AKA when they put everything on the internet, when they digitize all the products, all the stocks, everything, they may be doing that on Ethereum. And I was like, that's actually a pretty good take. That's what I was thinking tonight. I was like, maybe that's why they're buying so much ETH, because they're going to turn everything into a crypto, and then put it on Ethereum. And that would be the kind of like twist that would confuse everybody, right? Do you know how pissed off people would, like people that are in Solana would lose their minds? They would lose their minds. They'd be like, "Why did you put out Solana so cheap?" Blah 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 blah. And then, but I mean, no, don't get me wrong. Like I'm on Solana too, right? Obviously, there's a lot of volume over there, but you always have to kind of think outside the box with a lot of these things. And I thought that was a really good take from him, personally. So I just want to make sure you got credit for that. So moving into, I think you wanted CC. Oh, I want to talk about this too. This is a pretty interesting one, and then we'll look at CHEX, and we'll look at Ondo. Ondo is BlackRock's baby. Oh, you guys all think it'll be Ondo? You think they're gonna digitize everything on Ondo? That's what you guys mean by that? My bad. I guess I wasn't paying attention. All right. We'll check that out. I'll check out Ondo pricing after this. How about that? And then we'll get the CHEX. This is an interesting one right here with ADA. Oh, it's built on ETH. There you go. It's built on ETH. There you go. I mean, that makes sense. That makes tons of sense. So ADA, right? A lot of you guys, I know it's boring. Who gives a shit about ADA? Nobody cares about ADA. I get it. All right, I get it. But I'm telling you guys, the price action's there. It is there. And I'm thinking like, I mean, this looks really good. I'm not gonna lie. Like this looks really good. Like you got this high, lower low, right? Higher high, higher low. And now you're kind of shifting into, and you should get into another higher high. Right. And then ideally you catch another higher low. I don't know what's going on over there. I don't. Okay. I just don't. But like it looks good, man. This looks really good. I like the structure. I don't care about the puke as much as I care about the structure. The structure is everything when it comes to TA. So I look at this from like a holistic standpoint. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm just like, if that's like an infinite twat, essentially, right? Like this is a really good setup. So, it's a screenshot between Ondo. Look, I believe you 100%. Like I think Ondo, and we were in Ondo early. People laughed about that one too. People remember. I don't know if you remember that, Emilio, but it was like I was telling people Ondo, and they're like, "Oh, no, nobody's gonna buy that. It's another KOL coin." And I was like, "Bro, it's RWA play. It's like it's probably one of the best ones out there." I mean, I think we're near bottom of the bear market when we were talking about that. But let me pull up Ondo real quick, see if we can get that. Yeah, stupid cheap, man. Just like people are laughing. Like I have it in the Discord too, where I was talking about it. Yeah, I think I have it right here. This one was the one I was using. What happened here? What the heck? Yeah, look at this shit, guys. Like, oh man, this was in the BB Discord. People were like, "Oh, nobody buying Ondo." I was like, "Okay, all right, we'll see." This is the range, right here. This is the range. But yeah, so Ondo overall, like, I think it looks really good, personally. And somebody may be like, "Oh, it looks like shit." I mean, look at that. Look at that. Look, we just everything there. That's a pretty clean setup, if I do say so myself. Right? That's a pretty clean uptrend. I don't think it looks like shit at all. I think it looks pretty good. Just saying. Sometimes you got to zoom out. You got to look at these things from a holistic standpoint and understand what's going on here. And I would say that's Ondo for me, right? I mean, even if you go off this chart over here, here's another chart. It's still the same thing. Well, not hard. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I know. I'm always looking for patterns like this, Emilio, when I'm looking at stuff, and I'm just like, where's the bull trend? Where is the bull trend? And if I can find the bull trend, it's on. But this one's been a solid one, man. I like to keep this here so people can't try and say you didn't get it. Although we had the stuff in Discord, so we had the receipts. We're good. All right, moving into you wanted to see CHEX, right? Let's go ahead and get that. Duplicate. I swear I know what it is, but I don't remember. So it is crypto, right? USDT. Ah, yeah, there we go. Which one's better? I'm not a fan of MEXC though. Let's see what that looks like. Damn, man, that's crazy. That is a crazy wild chart. The vol here looks good, but if they start to roll on volume, this thing might roll back. MEXC is better. Yeah, I think we are MEXC. This is the downtrend into the breakout. I mean, it looks like it's kind of losing momentum. I won't lie. Maybe pulls back to like here. Something like that. That would be my thoughts. I'd be like, this is kind of that. And obviously, that's looking at it from the monthly perspective. Well, I mean, you kind of tapped into that liquidity a little bit here, right? But you could definitely continue to play that trend for a little bit before you end up breaking out, at least on the monthly. That's a big buy up, though. That's a really nice. It's almost like forcing its way through buyers. This one didn't look too great, right? And now you're kind of forcing into that. So because you have this hammer, I would say this, like, even though this looks like you have enough force, you'll likely go like this, reverse back into the range because of the hammer, and then you'll have your big moon off of that. That would be my thoughts. If I were to look at this from any perspective, that's how I would take it, man. I'd be like, okay, we'll probably likely roll back and break out. What is the drawdown on this? Let's see. That's what matters. I hate when people are looking at it's like 5-10% drawdown. They're like, oh no, I can't bid that because 10%. It's like, bro, just buy it where it's at. You haven't got to get a 10% drawdown. About 59%. 50, I'd say 55. I'm a little bit over. Yeah. I mean, if you don't care, then fuck it, run it. What's the worst that can happen? If you got in lower, then again, this is another thing I try to tell people too. It's like, bro, if I bought here, why would I care that happened? Well, you can get more. Yeah, I can also lose my position. Weigh your pros and your cons there, right? Weigh your pros and your cons. The buying and selling consistently just doesn't make much sense. You got to make it make sense. You can trade. Don't get me wrong. Trading's okay, but trading usually results in you coming out of an asset and going into another. It doesn't mean you're selling the golden goose egg that you have and then trying to use that to go back into the golden goose egg again, right? Because what happens is you'll sell to buy here, price will pump up to here, you'll panic, you'll buy back in, and then price will roll anyway. That's normally what happens, right? A lot of people get played in that game. They don't understand it, but that's typically what ends up happening here. Moving into file. That's another interesting one too. Something I keep on telling people about. They continue to keep ignoring it. It's fine. It's whatever. A lot of stuff on here. I know. Let's remove all that. I mean, that's a solid range right there. Right. That's a solid range. And I think this coin does matter, and I think it will play the cycle. That's the other reason. Like, I really don't think the cycle is over, because there are certain coins that play well into each cycle. What draws in the big money typically? It's launch pads, right? Launch pads draw in the big money. They make you stake it. They rob you in the end, and you get to get in and out of some good projects. Hopefully, it's more than what you put in the launch pad. And so, ultimately, launch pads haven't been a runner either. They've been a little bit of a tidy speculation play in the sector, but not that much, right? So, like, these certain sectors, they play out really well when the liquidity really comes in, and I just don't think it's come in yet. GME ETH, I can check it out. Can you chart? Yeah, we can look at Jasmine. I know you've asked a couple times on that. GameStop itself, I think this is going to be start twapping. I definitely think GameStop's going to start twapping. If that happens, the GME ETH should be good. But let's get into Jasmine real quick. JK, here we go. Sorry, I didn't have this up. I just request, so running it. Bro, this was the play. This was that. I had the Discord. Any of you from the Will's Outlook Discord? Just saying. Any of you from there? I don't do much in there right now, but I'll try to be more active moving forward. But if you are, you remember me telling you guys 0.002 by Jasmine. 0.002 by Jasmine. So, hey, you're doing pretty good. You're doing pretty good. You got a nice little 10x. I think at peak here, you were at what? A cool 20, a little bit over a 20x. It's been an interesting run with this one. I do think that it's still a good play, personally, and I think it's going to. I do think this is going to be a runner, right? The narrative is strong. The Japanese Bitcoin narrative is strong. I know a lot of people are sleeping on it. Not even a lot of people know about the Japanese, Bitcoin talk with Jasmine. So, I think, like, once that starts getting spread more, and we've already gotten this far with it, it'll go a lot higher. Some ETH beta that isn't play voice. Oh shit, Pneumatic Slip. I'll take a look. I'll take a look. I promise. I'll look at them in just a minute. We'll run some beta here in a second. Oh, you got some today? All right. Let's see. I'm just running the comments. Sorry. All right, GME. All right. So, all right, we'll get to some memes. All right, we'll get to some memes. What do you guys want? You want some Pango? All right, I'll stop. I'm just playing, guys. I'm just playing. I shouldn't play like that. I mean, this is playing out just the way I thought it was going to. I'm just saying. Now, I'm not praying on anybody's downfall. I think Lucas is a great guy. I love the freaking the Penguin community, but this thing was, yeah, it's been getting crushed. I mean, but this ain't the only one, though. This ain't the only one. A lot of these are, right? A lot of these are. We'll run down the list. How about we run the list? How about that? Let's run Mog, right? I think Mog's still doing okay. Where you at, Mog? Oof. I don't think that's the only one for Mog, is it? It's not 1.3 mil. Oh. Or is it? Is it 1.3 mil liquidity? Is that what Mog is right now? That is insane. Remember when we had this discussion, Emilio, on Saturdays, and I was like, "This is how you guys are supposed to twap out." This is how you're supposed to twap out. Come on, guys. Like, it's. I know it may look more complicated, like, well, you can't call. You don't have to get exact top. You get above previous top, 50% of that, 50%. You get above previous top, 50% of that, 50%. 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 That's all it is. Oh, 13 mil? How come it says, am I looking at a different liquidity pool? Is there, because I was looking for the ETH liquidity pool and this is it. Look, hold on. 13.4. Thank you for correcting me. What the fuck is this one? What is this one? There it is. Oof. Bro, that had me sweating. I'm not going to lie. That had me sweating. I was like, damn. I was like, they went from 14 mil to 1.3. Okay, this looks better as far as liquidity goes. My bad. Yeah, different use. Yeah, somebody's got $1 million in the Uniswap LP over there somewhere, man. Wild. So yeah, this one right here. Just saying. It's definitely been a fun ride, and I'm continuing to ride this thing. Like I think this thing's gonna do well, but I would say you're right around these levels, right? I'd say this is a safe place to bid. If you're interested in bidding this, 100%, I'd say this is. What are you, 80% draw? Yep, 81.32. Boom. That is the key metric to bidding a shitcoin that's down bad is 80% plus. Right? 80% plus. This is 80%. Watch it bounce here. It's gonna be epic. You got 1, 2, 3 right here. I would say yes. I would. This is an 80% drawdown play, and upside potential is. I mean, you're looking at 430, right? 430, and that's just to get back to all time high. If it exceeds all time high, does it? I mean, likely. I think MOG is like very much in a lot of ways. I don't know why did I just refresh that? Like Pepe, right? So let's get into Pepe. And I'll show you kind of the chart similarities. God, I hate how many freaking imitations there are. Man, do I really have to find a contract address? There it is. Jeez. So annoying. Hold on. Sorry, I didn't mean to rant like that. This is, like all these fakes, man. It's crazy. This makes it so hard to filter through the noise. All right. So, look. Yes, there it is. It's a little different, right? It's a little different, but boom, right? Boom. Very much little different, but very much the same. So for me, it's kind of like boom, boom, boom. Even BPS. I think BPS is another one of those too. And this one's pretty down bad. Absolutely demoed. But if you look here again, and damn if I didn't talk about this on Saturday's call with the BB, man. And it played out to a freaking T. And I didn't think it was going to roll that hard, especially not that quickly. But it rolled right into that range, man. Rolled right into that uptrend. So this was, and you can see right there, I deleted the rest of it, but this was my thought as one of the possibilities. So I think this thing will sit here for a little while, probably play sideways for a bit, and then run. It's going to be one of those types. What can Pepe get back to? I mean, Pepe can go extremely high. We have to remember, look, let me show you guys something. I think it's Shiba Inu. Like, guys, like, I don't know what people think, but like, Shiba Inu and Solana, bro, get out of here. Same shit every single time. Let me find the original Shiba Inu contract. Give me 1 second. Because I want to show you guys something. Like, people just they don't get it, man. And this wasn't the only one. There's tons of them. Like peak to trough, man. Look at this. Let's go all. Shiba Inu up here was like billions upon billions upon billions of market cap. Right? I think it was like 65 billion market cap, roughly. Right? Like right now it's 9.36. That obviously some burns and shit like that in there too. And you're sitting here. Right? This was like a 65 billion market cap coin. And what that tells you is like when you look at like Pepe, you look at Mog, like these assets are they really are undervalued compared to last cycle and what we did last cycle. Now some of you may be like, well, there's too many coins to pick from. Oh, there's you have dilution, right? That's what a lot of people like to say. They like to say dilution. And I'm just like, bro, you don't get it. Dilution occurs if nobody new shows up. Every cycle this space grows. New people show up all the time. That's how crypto works. Every single cycle, new people get pulled into this, and it grows in percentage of people, and that makes up for the difference if we do have dilution. So for me, mathematically, everything adds up. So when I look at this and I'm like, oh, 4.24 billion, but we got freaking we got Shiba Inu that made it to almost 65 billion. These coins have plenty of room to run. I'm thinking like, maybe like 30 billion, something like that, at least, right? And that's diminishing returns. Let's say people get the diminishing returns. They look at it from that factor and they're like, oh, but dilution, and I say all these things. Okay, still 30 billion's an achievable number. That's an achievable number, I think. And I think like when you look at these blue check type plays, it's buy and hold. And Murad, he's really kind of signaling that to a lot of people. I think a lot of people haven't even looked. The dude hasn't sold anything. He's down millions of dollars on his portfolio, and he's just holding. Like, I don't know what people don't get. Dude's eating millions of dollars of downside on memes. So, and I wouldn't think that. I don't think anybody in here is dumb enough to sit there and eat that and not know what's going on. Yeah, it's going to be a long year for sure. This is definitely going to be a long year. It's going to be a rough one. I think with the reverse repo where it's sitting at, volatility is going to be ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. But if we get even a sniff of any type of stimulant, any type of stimulation in the market, I think this market's going to go ballistic. To me, the market is just waiting for a reason to bid. That's all it's doing. It's not capitulating from fear. It's settling into a range, and it's waiting for a reason to move higher. And that reason will likely be stimulation. That's it. That's just my position and what I'm taking on this. So, I mean, to each their own at the end of the day when it comes to this kind of stuff. But what else do we have here? Yeah, I mean, 55 bill, 60 bill, any of that's just, I mean, after watching if you were here in 2021, like this shouldn't even be a second thought in your mind on how high this shouldn't go. Like, there's just too many people that speculate that there's no potential here, right? Just like people sell good shit. Like I've given multiple 100x's to people this cycle, a few thousand x's, and people sell it because it drops after the buy, but it went up 1,000x after you dropped even, right? Like even after your L on the drop, but people can't hold in these markets. They don't know what they're looking for. I mean, I'm still holding BPS. I don't think it's dead. That team's still active. Liquidity is still there. The thing that we're not understanding is everything looks dead, right? Let's look at Pepe. Brother, look, what do we say? We said 80% drawdown. What does it say? 77. Everything has capitulated right now. What you are getting, I'm just going to tell you guys, you are getting a discount. Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. That's all I could. I can't put your finger on the trigger. I can't convince you guys what to do. I'm gonna try and be here regularly, nightly with you guys discussing this stuff. But like, look, take your side, man. Take your side. I've been buying. I'm taking my side. I don't care if Bitcoin goes to 70K, 80K, Ethereum goes to 1700, like some people think it's gonna happen. Like none of that shit. It's just volatility. You saw how fast Bitcoin and Ethereum went to 2K and was literally 2,500 within like 5-10 minutes. You're gonna buy? You're like, oh yeah, I can buy it. You couldn't even make a transaction when it was happening. I know this because I was trying to buy while it was happening. I had to wait for it to settle before I could buy. And it was $90 a transaction when that happened. That's, that's how this game is played. It's played through manipulation. And then after the shakeout occurs, you then think you're going to get lower. You're going to go with that thesis. And then if lower never comes, what are you going to do? You're just going to watch it play out. I mean, that's each person has to decide on what they want to do in these markets at the end of the day. Do you want to bid or do you not want to bid? Are you bullish or are you bearish? What is the reason you're bearish? What is the reason you're bullish, right? And I can tell you it shouldn't be because of me. It shouldn't be because somebody on Twitter told you. It should be because of something that you're seeing that makes you bullish or bearish. You, not something somebody told you, right? Something you learn, something you understand, something you can use as a metric to understand, to have the sentiment you have. A lot of people become bearish because their big influencer is bearish. A lot of people become bearish because they stepped into a financial space, and in that financial space, they're talking about the housing market economic, imploding, right? The 2008 crash, the 2000 crash, the blah, blah, blah. And this is currently occurring, and cars aren't being bought, and land's not being. Anybody can talk in these markets, right? It's all just gibberish a lot of the time at the end of the day. But not a lot of people can evaluate. You need to be able to evaluate your own bags and understand when you get opportunity, you need to take it as opportunity, right? I see 80% down and I'm like, discount. Other people see 80% down and they're like gulags. That's a mindset thing. That's not a something that can be taught, right? It's something that has to be learned. And learned how? Learn through yourself. You have to teach yourself that. Like I can't teach you that. When we say skill issue, it's over. When we say skill issue, it's you being able to break your own mental barriers, right? That's all it is at the end of the day. It's you being able to break your own mental barriers, you being able to succeed where others are not. I can see a lot of people don't want to buy this right now, right? And a lot of people are just asking if they can get a bounce back. They're not even. A lot of people when they ask about price, they're asking because they're hoping that it can bounce back to where they entered. They don't care that they can buy it cheaper here. Think about that. Like it's wild to me. I look at this and I'm like, all right, well, I took a big hit, but guess what? I can double down here. I can triple down here. I can quadruple down here if I'm confident in what I'm buying. And I can get 10 times the bag I had. So if I had 100K up here, 2K down here, well, shit, all I got to do is put 2K more and I have 200K if we get back up there. Right? Or if we don't get back up there, I only have to get midway up here and I'll be break even. I don't have to go back to all-time high. But again, it's a mindset. It's understanding just math, right? Just being able to do the math on your bag and figure it out. Yeah, I mean, look, everything at the end of the day is a Ponzi. It's a passive asset, right? When you go in and you buy Apple, do you think Apple is worth $3 trillion as a company? What is Apple providing? Some cell phones? Think about it, right? You're getting a product, but is it worth $3 trillion as a company? Is the PE really that high? Or are these all just inflated numbers and bullshit at the end of the day? It's all just inflated numbers and bullshit, right? It's greeting companies, essentially. So, while we could say crypto is all funny money, crypto is a joke, so are stocks in a lot of ways, right? Unless you're buying startups. I think startups are always worth the play. And that's what I would tell people. I'd say startups, good, right? Ponzi's, okay, if you want to make some money. Big caps, I'm good on that. Good on that. It's all just inflatable numbers that they make up in their head. But yeah, that's pretty much it for tonight. We're running that hour time frame, but I will be back on again tomorrow, just so everybody knows. We're gonna try and make this annihilating impossible for all of you, and I hope you guys appreciated the information that I gave and tried to portray. Sometimes I'm a little, lucid, not so lucid in the evenings because it's been a long day, but I'll try to come here and bring the heat each night and discuss what I'm seeing and what I think we should do optimally in these markets. When I say we, I mean me. All right. For anybody trying to say I'm trying to give financial advice, I mean me. What I'm gonna do. All right. You guys decide what you want to do. All right. You buy, you sell, you long, you short. You figure out what you want to do. I'm just giving you guys my perspective, and that's it. You can take my perspective and just throw it in the trash. You take my perspective and write it on a piece of paper, keep it in the back of your mind, whatever you want to do. But that's what I'm here to do. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.